go. Now we will drop the whole lift down and pop that wheel off, gang. And then we'll have access to get the drum off and change this wheel cylinder, which should not be too difficult because we don't have to take all the brakes apart. It is the right size. Yeehaw! Alrighty. We need to get this extension off. This battery also is not very charged. It's really on there. There we go.
Tug of war.
Yeah. Everyone loves the good tug of war.
So the reason that worked, gang, is the extension, and they have specific ones that are called torque sticks. So it takes up so much of the force, it lowers the power of the gun. Stu, take that. Oh, it looks like this tread may have got a little spun.
Who would have done such a thing?
I'm not sure. Oh, we need to, if you can reach up, Stu, and take the e-brake off. Slap it down. It's on the driver's side. I doubt that they installed e-brakes on the passenger sides.
Right? I would hope not.
You never know.
It's true, you never know.
So gang, this is non-chlorinated clean flow brake clean. The chlorinated stuff drives me up the wall. I hate the stench of it. And you basically should always wear a mask, like a breathing apparatus if you're using the chlorinated stuff. It's so bad for you. Stu, can you get me a couple of rags too, please? So here, gang, they make specific brake tools for this. This is your adjustment right here. Loosen that up. Most of the time you can get a screwdriver in and just kind of, it's a bit awkward, you gotta find the right. Bear with me. There we go. So you find the right angle of the dangle, get the springs released, and then, and I'm mainly using a screwdriver because I forgot my brake tool. Come on. Here we go. So now we can get these apart far enough to get this wheel cylinder out. We just got to undo the brake line and the two nuts on the back. So that's all well and good. And as you can see, our brake shoes are good. The adjusters are good. The rear brakes actually work well. It's just that we can't bleed them properly because of this wheel cylinder having a broken bleed screw on it. So the first thing you're going to want to do before you loosen the wheel cylinder, a wrench for the brake line.
You want a wrench?
Yeah, a 10 mil wrench. And I'm not sure that it's 10, but.
I got a 3/8 wrench.
Yeah. I think in metric, but the truck is imperial.
Mm-hmm.
So, moving right along.
I think we are from Canada.
Too much play.
Small.
Grab me a 10, because a lot of the times, whatever it is, the 10 will work. Much like the bleed screw. So, we have line wrenches and all the right tools, gang. I'm not sure where they are. We're not very organized right now because we're rushing. Don't rush. Take your time. As you can hear, Stu is looking for stuff over there where all our tools are. So, this is only day 1 of getting ready. By the time you see day 3 of getting ready, we're going to be much more organized. Okay, so previously somebody has changed the main brake line coming to this wheel, and it's stripped. Even before we started, it's stripped. So what I'm trying to do is use a pair of needle nose vice grips to grab on to the brake line and loosen it. Hopefully we can get it. If not, we're gonna have to cut it and get a new brake line. If I can get this, we should be in good shape. Now, we let it soak overnight.
No, you're on the brake line. Yeah.
Good?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome, buddy.
Okay. That's pretty tight. Now, okay, so I'm on it, I'm not on anything else. Let's hope, now we've soaked it with Nut Buster overnight. I'm hoping we can get this. We have a new wheel cylinder, we can go get a new brake line. This isn't how I suggest you guys do it. We're just trying to get the truck ready. If I can get this loose and get the brake line back in, and it seals and doesn't leak, we'll be good, especially with the new wheel cylinder. I can deal with putting all new brake lines on the truck when I get home. We're also gonna try to bring a spool of brake line with us. You might see these odd looking clamps here that look like exhaust clamps. What we've done here, gang, is we like to do burnouts. So because it doesn't have really big shocks in the back, this is how we're controlling the axle wrap. And the reason why you want to control the axle wrap is so you don't snap the U-joint when the wheels start hopping. So because of this, it's now got all these springs joined together to help control the twist and wheel hop. Okay, so let's see here. And another tip too, don't just pull on stuff when you're doing this. You want to kind of try to tap.
Yeah, it's spinning.
Yeah. Is it moving?
Yeah, it's moving. Okay. The whole brake line's starting to move.
So you just give it little taps to try to loosen it off, and then I like to come back and forth, and you'll break free a lot of the crap that's in the, yeah, see? So it's gone from I couldn't turn it with my hand, now I've tapped it a few times, and we're talking a couple of fingers. And it's getting looser and looser and looser. Let's give the camera to Stu here, Uncle Bobo, and let him take a look back here. It is turning the whole brake line, but if we hang on to the brake line after, it should break loose. And the thing is too, is if it snaps the brake line, it's not the end of the world. We'll just put a new one in it. This might end up breaking down here, we'll see. So again, I wouldn't recommend this, gang. Normally I would say, you know, replace the brake line. We're in a hurry, kind of tight for parts, and if you know what you're doing and you're careful, you can get it. You just got to take your time. One of the methods I like to use is the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Don't overdo it, don't overthink it, and like this, I'm freeing up. So the way the brake line works, of course, is it goes into the threads, or not into the threads, sorry, into the capture of the nut for the into the mount on the wheel cylinder. So over time, it gets seized inside that, and when you turn it, it turns the whole brake line. If you're gentle and you slowly do this, it'll free up, and then you won't wreck the brake line. A little bit time consuming, but we're getting there. And you always want to get the brake line out of the wheel cylinder before you undo the wheel cylinder. Yeah. Okay, so what size are the bolts for the wheel cylinders? There, Papa Stu? Half? Feels like?
Yeah, probably.
You're getting those. And if you look here, gang, here's your wheel cylinder. Okay, I've got the retention springs pulled off right now. They go to the center post. This is your adjustment wire, and your auto adjustment is down here. So as you reverse and then hit the brakes, this will adjust the brake shoes, not pads because they're drums, the brake shoes out. If you look here, you can see the new springs and stuff we put in. The pads, or not pads, shoes are in good shape, so we're laughing there. It's just this wheel cylinder needs to be changed because the bleeder's broken, and we want proper brakes during our trip. See, now it's spinning freely on the line. We're golden. Okie dokies. I like to use, generally speaking, this is a 3/8 drive. I usually like to use a 1/4 drive if I'm going to be putting something back in. Because one of the biggest mistakes people make is they over tighten everything, gang. And it just isn't necessary on a lot of stuff. This one has been installed properly. So you can see back here, these are the mounting tabs and bolts for the wheel cylinder. Okay, so now we just spread the brake shoes apart a little bit so you can get, where's the needle nose? There we go. What you want to do is get this off of the brake. There we go. These go in the new wheel cylinder. They pop out. You know, make sure we clean these up. This wheel cylinder, in a pinch, could save us on the side of the road. So I'm going to keep it and plug it. I may even be able to get that bleeder screw out later and put a different bleeder screw in. Okay, we're going to get the new wheel cylinder out of the truck. We'll be back with you in a minute. All right, we got our new wheel cylinder out here. Ray Bestos. If you got an old swept line, your Ray Bestos part number is WC37235. And they're universal, so either side, because the bleeder's on the top. There's your part number if you're looking for wheel cylinders for the back of a D100. Now we make sure that we have the correct ones. I'm relatively confident I do. These are not the same ones that are on the back of a D200. I know that from experience. So we will compare the two. There's our old one with the broken bleeder.
Way to go, Stu.
Thanks, guys.
Minor differences,
I do what I can.
but they'll fit. And then I also like to take the bolts from it and just thread them in to make sure we're good. And we are. Yeah, see the ones on the back of my D200, they're 1/2" bolts that hold the wheel cylinder on. So the next step we're going to take here is get some, I like to use the non-chlorinated brake clean gang. I'm going to get Stu to go get a wire brush. We're going to clean the mounting in behind here. We've already been in here once when we first got the truck. You can see the new mounting brackets and stuff, the retainer springs. This was all new when we first got it and started driving it. I went originally with the, I went with the original, well, not original, sorry, but the brake shoes that were on the truck because they're good. They're not cracked. I don't think they're that old. I think someone did the brakes on it right before they put it away. It was just the hardware that needed help. So we're going to clean this out in here, make sure that the mounting surface is even. If you look in here, you can see where the wheel cylinder's been sitting. So we'll wipe that off. It should mount in there good. And then we can bleed the brakes. And I went with 2 wheel cylinders. So now we have, because that one's fine over there. But now I like to have redundancy on trips. So now say we blow a wheel cylinder somewhere in Saskatoon and we need, we need to,
Saskatoon,
Saskatoon. We blow a wheel cylinder in Saskatoon. Then we've got another new one and the old one as a backup to get us back on the road. Because one of the biggest things that people neglect are brakes. I don't have a problem with drum brakes. If they're set up properly and everything's working and bled correctly, you're safe with them. I mean, geez, the truck came with it and it worked for years. No problems. So we're gonna take a rag here. Papa Stu, if you can just get in behind here without getting the brake line too much and just kind of make sure that that surface in there is clean.
Yeah, buddy. Oh yeah.
Yes, nicely done. So we're good here too. The axle seal's fine. I'm gonna check and see what the axle seal looks like over there. And we gotta check the fluid level in the diff. That should be good, Stu. Yep. We're not looking for a resto. We're looking for a temporary cleaning job. Now, here, I'm gonna save this after as well and reinstall it in this so we can keep this in the plastic bag and have it as a spare. I like to leave the plastic on until it's mounted, strictly because then I don't have to worry about getting crap in the wheel cylinder. Oh, you know what we do need to do is clean these. You do not want these to be dirty inside the new wheel cylinder. So, Papa Stu, can you take those to the grinder? Maybe put some vice grips on them. We're gonna go clean those. We'll be back, gang. All right, key steps. You skip the little steps, that's how you end up wrecking your new wheel cylinder. I got safety glasses on, they double as sunglasses. Just gently hold it against the wire wheel to clean the crud off of these old pistons. I call them pistons. They go in the wheel cylinder and spread the shoes out. Yep, we got a nice smooth surface now, no crud on it. That'll do. All right, and when we get this back together too, I'm going to show you the proper way to bleed brake.
Two shot.
All right, gang, so we're popping the, I like to call them pistons. They're the things that spread the shoes out into the wheel cylinder. I just usually push it in until it stops, make sure it captures the rubber. So now they're both in, and they've captured. And the biggest thing is that they seal into the rubber, because you don't want them popping out. Okay, here's a huge tip, and I've seen lots of guys do this. It might seem silly, but wheel cylinders are a lot harder to do it with. Calipers, wheel cylinders, etc., the bleeder always goes at the top. If you install this the wrong way, it'll work, but you'll never properly bleed your brakes. I've seen multiple people install a caliper and fight with it for months because they can't get proper brakes, because you get an air pocket down here. Same with the wheel cylinder. On a lot of trucks, this one I don't think it would, but on a lot of trucks and cars, you can put it in upside down and you'd never bleed it right. It would seem like it's working, but you're never gonna get all the air out of it. So I like to slide it onto one, line it up in there. Takes a little finagling, but get it started. And then just push that one onto the other shoe, like that. Make sure that the end of the rods are around the brake shoes. And then you take the bolts. Not batting 1,000 with knowing what things are today. That's all right. The rods coming out of the end of the wheel cylinders, make sure that the opening is around the shoes. Not up against it. It could be caught on the edge. You want to make sure that they fit around the brake shoe, because you could stick it in there, and like I said, it seems like it's fine, but if it's not around it, it'll push on it but incorrectly apply the brakes. One brake shoe will be a lot stronger than the other one and wear out super quick because it's pushing further on that one side. Snug up one. This is another tip, gang. You don't want to over tighten things. There's no need. These are little 7/16 bolts. They're plenty strong to hold this. There is no lateral load on the wheel cylinder. It's all horizontal, or whatever you'd call it. You just have to snug them up. People reef on things and then you can never get them, especially brake lines, wheels, like that. Half a turn after snug, it's good. I could tighten it way more, but there's no point. That's plenty tight, especially with a 3/8 drive ratchet. So now we're gonna go back in here. I'm gonna get Stu, unless I can get it. Can you get the rubber out of the brake line?
Sure can.
My bad.
That's all
No,
right.
my good.
Yeah, that was good. Not bad, so you
Okay,
can see.
so with the brake line, gang, you wanna, it's a bit hard when it's an old brake line. And because we have to tighten this with vice grips, what I'm gonna do, because we look for a new brake line, we can't find one right now. So what I'm gonna do is take out the bleeder so I can grab this with the vice grips. Again, not the correct way to do it, but we're in a pinch. Okay, we're gonna go get a socket for the bleeder. We'll be back with it. All right, so we're just reassembling the hardware here, gang. we got the one spring on here. Now it's time to put this one on. You got the, we'll get the retainer clip here in the right spot. Clip it behind that spring. I like to as well, I've done this a lot, but what I like to do is take the other wheel off and then you've got a map. So if you need to go, where does this go? Shoot, I can't remember. Like where does the adjustment clip go down here? If you got another wheel open, you can see where it goes. These ones are known to be a bit of a pain in the butt due to them being pretty tight. This is the trick I like to use. Takes some practice to get like that with it, but it's a lot easier than trying to fight with a pair of vice grips or something to get it on. And then once they're clipped on, I like to grab the dead blow and just give it a and just double check to make sure everything's still, you know, the retainer springs are in, the retainers are turned properly, you know, the spreader bar's in, and the openings in the right position. Same with this one here, because we need to adjust them. The adjustment wire needs to line up with this, and it does. As soon as we adjust the brakes, it will pull tight, and then we'll be good to go. Yeah, so that's hooked on where it needs to be. And then we will put the drums back on when we bleed the brakes, because poofta if you don't. Our drums are in good shape. I measured them, they spec out no problem. Nice and even, no cracking. So we got lucky there, we didn't have to put drums on her. The weights are all still in place. So this is how your drum should fit on. You should have some resistance and then push it on like that. These are our wheel spacers. Never go more than 1/4 on the wheel spacer for the ones that don't bolt to the truck. It's just not safe. They can go on after. And then we're gonna have to drop her down, fill up the master cylinder with brake fluid, and now we can properly bleed the back brakes. Clear?
Clear.
Clear.
Oh, I can't reach very good.
Why don't you let the tall guy do it?
Here, come here. Why am I doing this?
That's a good question.
I'm gonna stand over here like a boss.
Well,
what I like to do, gang, is gravity bleed the system for a minute or two first, just to try to get the fluid down in. In order to gravity bleed, you need to have the lid off. In order to properly bleed the brakes like we're going to demonstrate in a minute, you need the lid on. So we're going to go up with the truck, and I'm going to crack both bleeders and walk you through how I'm doing that. Okay, so we got the lid off, gang, and you always want to start with whether you've done all four, or, I mean, if you just do the front circuit, you don't need to mess with the back. But I like to, and you should start with the farthest wheel from the master. So, you crack the bleeder, and then I give it 3 turns. You don't want to go too far with it.
here we go.
Oh, we're seeing brake fluid. So we got brake fluid coming out of this one. So that's a good sign. She's starting to leak there, and one little drop out of that one. So it's going to take a few pumps. We're going to do this one first. Now that I see brake fluid coming back here, I know that the system has flowed to the rear of the truck. And I'm going to close the bleeders. And when you close the bleeder screw, guys, they just need to be snug, not tight. Yeah, see? If you look here again, now that I've closed that one, it's now flowing fluid over to this wheel cylinder. And we got the cup underneath it to catch it. That's what you want to see when you're gravity bleeding. It helps, it saves time in pumping the brake pedal, and it lets you know, okay, the fluid has freely run to the back without any obstructions or anything in the brake line. That way, you know when you go to bleed them, it's going to work. And it also means too that if it were dripping out of this bleeder, that our new wheel cylinder now has brake fluid in it. Just snug, doesn't need to be crazy tight. So now we're gonna lower the truck down, top up the master, set the lid on. We don't need to tighten the lid, it just needs to have the seal. So we will top her up. You'll notice too with drum brakes, gang, both reservoirs are the same size. If you have a four-wheel drum brake vehicle, truck or car, that's what you're looking for. If you notice that the master cylinder has one bigger reservoir, that means it's got a disc brake master. Don't use it. Find a drum brake master for your truck or car if it's got four-wheel drums. So on this particular master, guys, we do have to snug it up just because of how it mounts. Doesn't have to be super tight, just so the lid is snug down. Lead it, okay?
Yeah, to the floor.
Keep holding.
Yeah.
Okay, let it up.
Yeah.
Pump it again. Where's our flashlight, Uncle Bobble?
Down here.
Yeah.
Holding.
Holding.
To the floor.
Yep. Woo!
Are you still holding it?
Oh, you betcha.
Make sure you hold it. You'll ruin the whole braking system if you let go.
I don't want to ruin it. I already
Don't
did
ruin
that
it. You gotta
once.
hold the brakes down, okay?
Oh, it's held.
You gotta hold it. Make sure. You're not still holding that pedal, are you? I'm not even underneath there. You can let it go.
Well, there you go. You got to follow those instructions.